Hello, I am back from my honeymoon, back in England, back from Sri Lanka and India, back watching Arsenal lose away from home. The defence, as many cracks in it as the wall behind me in most of these videos. I will repair that one day, but I'm just sort of I'm thinking of you guys really, how exciting it would be if one of these vlogs was interrupted by the ceiling coming down on me. Sometimes feels like the ceiling is coming down on us as Arsenal fans. And it's a real bummer to lose this one today in the manner that we did, because this was a day principally of excitement. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang flew into London. The flight was tracked by Arsenal fans. He's at London Colney's. Presumably, if he's not done his medical, he's probably done all his photos and agreed the final touches on his personal contract. It looks like that deal's going to go ahead. Bit of a transfer merry-go-round, also involving Olivier Giroud and Michy Batshuayi. And that's a club record signing, something we really should be excited about. And yet, we had to play a game tonight on the eve of deadline day, and it almost felt like a distraction from the transfer story to actually have to play a match of football. And frankly, I could have done without it, especially given the performance we put in. And it's a glaring reminder, really, that whoever we sign, however much money we pay for them, whatever their pedigree, there are problems that run deeper than that at this football club. And the manager cannot seem to galvanise this team in any significant way. I mean, in the time that I've been gone, Alexis Sanchez has left the club, and there were a couple of decent results and maybe some respite. It seemed, I think it was unrealistic to suggest that Alexis' departure and our upturn in performances were particularly directly correlated. But, it felt like we might have, if not quite turned a corner, at least be peering round a corner. Well, we have consummately headed back in the other direction now. And it's been the away form that's been our undoing all season long. And this was a terrible performance, littered with individual defensive errors. I mean, you think of Cech's miss kick, you think of Monreal's throw, you think of Mustafi's dallying, you think of Xhaka switching off. I could go on and on and on. It didn't look pretty at the back, and I understand that these are individual mistakes, but at some point somebody has to be held accountable for those. Someone has to be held accountable for the fact that these errors keep on happening, that these players are in the team, that they are acting like individuals, not as a coherent unit. The man who has to take responsibility for that is the manager. Now, I do think there are things to be encouraged about in January. I think the transfer business we've done, certainly on the incoming side, has been decent. Mkhitaryan or Aubameyang look like quality players. I am a bit concerned about how much we've let go. Coquelin, Walcott, Giroud to follow. Alexis, a lot of goals there. Obviously none for Coquelin, but for the rest, 60 odd goals last season. It's asking a lot for Mkhitaryan and Aubameyang to make up that shortfall. But I am encouraged by the fact that Arsene doesn't seem as involved in the transfer business, doesn't seem quite as hands-on. I'm not even sure if Aubameyang, say, is his signing. I wonder if it's been slightly foisted upon him. And that's kind of a necessary thing. Just as the fact that we did the deal with Mino Raiola for Mkhitaryan shows that we're now willing to embrace the super agents, the dark side of the game. I think that is a positive thing. It's not an Arsene Wenger thing. And I think the sooner that this team is not an Arsene Wenger team, the better. The manager, of course, he's taken us as far as we could go. He probably did that when we went the season unbeaten. You're not going to surpass that. We went to a Champions League final. He may never, it's almost certainly won't ever do that again. But in the last couple of years, the faults have just grown too wide, the problems too clear. It really is tired now. It really is. It's boring to watch. I think that a lot of fans are losing interest. Supporters who've supported the club for years passionately are not renewing their tickets, are not watching games, are not turning up to games. I think people at the top of the club must know that now. I think that the Conservative choice is no longer the right choice. I think if it was up to me, I would probably dismiss the manager at this point in the season, because our Premier League campaign, we need a miracle really to get the top four. We need a collapse from two teams because we are comfortably the sixth best team at the moment. Spurs, yeah, sure, they're good for a collapse, but you need Liverpool too. You need Chelsea maybe to crumble. We're giving them a very decent striker. It doesn't feel likely. We've given Manchester United one of our best players. We're playing catch up with teams who are getting better all the time. We are making additions, but it's an uphill struggle. And the one addition we do need to make, and we won't make it this deadline day, is a new manager. And I don't know who it is. But when clubs are struggling at the lower reaches of the table, they let the manager go and they get a new manager bounce. I mean, look at Swansea. I think Carvalhal's a decent coach, but there is clearly a benefit there on account of a new man coming in. And that's something Chelsea have used to great effect in the past. Look how good Conte's been for them. He'll be gone at the end of the season. 2 years and he's out. The same with Ancelotti. They keep the players focused. They keep the players under pressure. They keep the players knowing that their place is at stake every single week, week in, week out, game after game. Arsenal never feels like that. The mistakes that were made tonight, do you really think they'll be reflected in the team selection on Saturday? I don't. Do you think those players will be unceremoniously sold if they continue to make errors this season? I don't. It's too comfortable and it's too stale. I know you've heard me say this before, but I really do think if a change happened now, it'd probably be a good thing. It won't. I am optimistic the change will come at the end of the season because I don't think they can possibly let him run into the final year again. But back to Aubameyang. You should be excited about it because frankly, there ain't much else to be excited about this season. There's the Europa League, which I think is our only real chance of getting into the Champions League. The gap between us and fourth is 8 points at the moment. I expect that to be bigger at the end of the season, the way things are going. Aubameyang can't play in the Europa League, but Lacazette can. I think he'll be benched in the Premier League and deserves to be based on his performance tonight. Hopefully he can find some form in Europe. He's not really played for us in that competition. I think he hasn't played a minute in it. Hopefully we can progress. I mean, there's some good teams in there. Dortmund, Atletico, Napoli. But that's the only way we're getting back into the Champions League. And I want that for the new manager. I want the Champions League. I want it to try and convince players we want to keep at the club to stay. And I don't think Mesut Ozil's realistic, but saying Aaron Ramsey, I don't want to lose Aaron Ramsey. I want him to stay. I think we need top level football to do that. Why is Aubameyang coming here? What's gone so wrong for him in Dortmund? A couple of years ago, I was looking at Real Madrid. I hope we get the good player we're all hoping for there. I really do. He's going to need to be something very special to turn this season around. But he's a finisher. And if you don't create chances, how good is a finisher going to be for you? We spent £100 million on finishers. But when everything behind that is so dysfunctional, and when you've got a manager who doesn't really seem to know how to set this team up or motivate this team consistently, you're going to have problems. If you made it this far, congratulations. I made a little funny video about Deadline Day, a sort of Star Wars mashup, Arsenal mashup. Might cheer you up. I hope it does. And let's hope, let's hope the Aubameyang deal at least gets over the line. Anyway, cheers guys. It's good to be back, sort of.